Hey there and welcome to another video. My name is Hugh. And in this video, I'm going to show you something really cool. I'm going to show you how to create a fully automated Bollinger Bands trading strategy with zero coding. I'll show you all of the steps. I'll show you every single thing that I do from beginning to end. And once you learn how to do this, you can create a strategy for yourself, and then you can start tweaking and optimizing it to make it fit you best. All right, let's get into it. All right, so if you're watching this video, you probably know about the Bollinger Bands. Now the question is, how do you use them to trade, right? So I've put them on the chart here, and there are a ton of different ways to use the Bollinger Bands in trade. People use them in different ways. So my goal here is not to show you a strategy that I like, but it's to give you the tools necessary to create your own strategy, help you experiment with your own ideas, and figure out something that works for you. So I'm just going to go with something very simple today. I'm just going to show you how to create a fully automated trading strategy with no coding using the Bollinger Bands. So here's what I'm going to test out, or I'm going to create. So I want to find situations where the candle either closes above the upper Bollinger Band or below the lower Bollinger Band. And that's because that could be a stretch, and when the price stretches too far in one direction, it will generally snap back. So I'm going to test out that hypothesis and see if there's any merit to that. Now, to keep things simple, I'm just going to close out the trade when price closes on the other side of the moving average in the middle here. And that's a good place to start because it's a nice, easy target. And we'll see if this trading idea has any merit or not. Now, in future tests, you might want to test things out like if it crosses above the moving average, you target the upper Bollinger Band. If it closes below, you target the lower Bollinger Band or something like that. Or you can change the settings in the Bollinger Bands. But that testing and optimization is going to be up to you. So first I'm going to get into how I'm going to build this trading strategy, and then I'll start to build the individual parts. So for this test, I'm going to be using the Naked Markets backtesting software because it allows me to build automated trading strategies without coding. If you want to get Naked Markets, my link is provided in the description below. I'll also throw in a few bonuses if you buy through that link. And I think Naked Markets is a fantastic software, as you will see in this video. All right, so within Naked Markets, there are 4 basic types of rules that we have to know about. Number 1 is the core rule, and this is the basic logic of parts of the trading strategy. It can be used for calculations, it can be used for identifying the entry and the exit, and it's a very flexible rule that can be used in several spots. Now, after the core rule, there's going to be the entry rule, and those are the rules for getting into the trade, the stop loss, the take profit, etc., how much you're going to risk, stuff like that. Then the exit, that's the criteria for getting out of a trade. That's also the criteria for managing a trade if you're going to trail a stop loss or something like that. And then finally, there's the setup rule. And what the setup rule does is it ties in the core rule to the entry rule and the exit rule. And it puts everything together in a nice little bundle. And this is what allows us to do the automated backtesting. All right, now that you know the theory, let's go back to the charts. Okay, I'm going to get started by going to rules, rule manager. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is create a core rule. So what is the setup that I'm looking for to enter a trade? So to do that, I'm going to hit new rule in the lower left corner. I'm going to change the rule type to core, and then I'm going to name it. And when you name it, it's best to put the trading strategy first, the type of rule, and then long or short, because we're going to create 2 sets of rules for longs and shorts. So in this case, let's call this Bollinger Band demo or Bollinger Band stretch. And this is going to be a core rule, and this will be the long side. Okay, so I'll hit OK, and this will come up. So in this rule, I'm just going to basically say if price closes below the lower Bollinger Band, right, that's my signal to go long. So let's start off with price value. So I want the close of the current bar to be less than, and then I'm going to put the indicator in there. And then let's see, where's the Bollinger Bands? Here we go. Okay. And then for this demonstration, I'm just going to use the default of 8 and 2 with the simple moving average. But I do have to change one thing here, and that is using the lower band, so down band. So, okay, so now I have this core rule called stretch, Bollinger Band stretch, core long, and that's when the close of the current price is less than the lower Bollinger Band. Okay, so I'm going to save that rule. And now that's available here in the core rules right there. Okay, so now I obviously want to create a long side, right? Or a short side. So I'm going to clone this rule. You just right click on the rule here on the right. And then I'm going to double click this to open it. Now I'm editing that. I'm going to rename this to short. Okay, and that's why I put the long and short at the end, because that's the part that's generally going to be changed. So that makes it easy to change the names once you've cloned these rules. Okay, so now I have a short. However, I do have to change this, right? So I want it to be greater than the upper Bollinger Band, right? So I'm going to put greater here, and then I'm going to change this Bollinger Band, and I have to change it to up band. Okay, and that's it. So I'll save that rule. That's now available here. Okay, so now if I want to test this out, and it's a good idea to test these out one by one to make sure that each rule is working the way you thought it would. Sometimes you create a rule and it sounds good in your head, and then you actually put it on the chart and you're like, oh, I forgot something. So let's test this out first. Okay, so to do this, I go to new rule again. I want a setup rule this time. And then I'm going to give it the same name, BB stretch, right? And then this is going to be setup, and we'll do short first. Okay. Okay, so this is the setup condition that is going to be looked for on the chart. You can add additional conditions if you want by clicking this plus in the upper right corner. That will add as many conditions as you want. You can take them away with the minus there. But I'm just going to do one core rule. It's going to be very simple. So this is a short, so I'm going to take that. So that's a setup condition. So it's going to start looking for that condition. And then the action part is what action is it going to take if it sees this setup condition. So Naked Markets makes it really easy to test these out. And they've included this really useful thing here called pause backtest. So it doesn't execute any trades. It doesn't do anything except pause the backtest. So that will allow you to see how this rule is working before you make a more complex rule out of it. So I'm going to save that rule. And that's going to be a setup rule available here. Right, so BB stretch. So now I'm going to clone that rule, double click it, and then rename it. And then I'm going to rename it to the long. Okay. And then now I have to change this, right? So I'm going to put the core rule for the long in here. So it's going to look for the long. And this stays the same because we just want it to pause. Okay, so save that rule. Okay, so now I'm ready to do the first test, and this will actually be a pretty good demonstration of the automation in this platform. So I'm going to add the setup rules to my chart, and you can do that by just dragging and dropping the setup rules on the chart, and they will appear here. And these are the active rules that are currently running on the chart while you're running the backtest. And since we have only set this to pause once the price closes above the upper band or below the lower band, we can see how well our logic is working out. So let's go forward. Okay, so it closed above, right? So that's good, and it stopped. Okay, so it closed again. So this is the first issue, right? What happens if there are two trades in a row? So that's something we're going to have to account for. But let's keep going and see how this works. I want to see a short setup so that I'm sure that the short side is working also. There we go. Okay. Okay, so it looks like it's working. Great. These first set of rules are working. So now we're going to jump into an entry rule. Okay, so first I'm going to remove the detach all rules from the chart so it doesn't get annoying there. And then I'm going to go back into Rule Manager. And then I want to do, actually it's easier to do an exit rule first because I'm going to have to put the exit rule into the entry rule. So let's do the exit rule first. So those are the exit rules there. So I'm going to hit new rule in the lower left corner. This is going to be an exit rule. Same thing again, BB stretch, exit and long. So I'm going to be exiting the long, right? Okay, so what happens when I exit the long? So I am going to look for let's see. Well, first I want to close the order, right? So I go to order modification, close order. So in this case, I'm going to close the order on a long if price closes above the moving average, the middle moving average, right? So I'm going to put, I'm going to have to add a condition here. So let's see, price value, close, and I'm going to use the default, greater than, go to operators, greater than, and then I'm going to go to the indicator. I'm going to drop the Bollinger Bands indicator in there. Okay, and then I'm going to say that the selected value is the moving average. So I want it to close above the middle moving average. So hit OK. Okay, so that looks good. Stretch long. Yes, okay. So now I'm going to save that rule. Now I'm going to clone this rule, right? I'm going to right click, clone, double click, right click, rename, change this to short. And then I'll hit OK. And then now all I have to do is change the sign in the middle to less than. Okay, and that's all set. I'm going to save that rule. And now I think we're good to go. Okay, so before I get into the entry rule, let's do something really quick on the core rule. I want to make sure that if there are multiple signals that I don't take more than one trade. So there's a very simple way to do that. And I'll add that right now before we move on. So I'm going to go back to the core rules, core long. So one thing you can do to prevent multiple signals is to check for open orders. So I'm going to hit the plus sign in the upper right corner. I'm going to add a couple of conditions. And then for the operators, I'm going to say and I'm going to go to account information and open trades count. And so I want to check to see if there are already any open orders. Now, this is going to prevent long and shorts from being open at the same time, but this will also lower the risk. So this is something that you can experiment with. For now, I'm just going to do it this way. And then later on, it's something that you can tweak. So open trades count equal to, and then I'm going to go to price value, input, and I'm going to set this to 0. Right? Okay, so now I want to make sure that there are no open trades in addition to this entry criteria. So I'm going to save that rule, and then I'm going to go back to the short side, and then I'm going to add that criteria in there also. So and open orders or open trade count is equal to 0. Okay, so from there I'm going to hit save, and that's going to save that rule. Okay, so now let's get into the entry rule. So we have the core rule, we have the exit rule. Now we want to do the entry rule. So go to new rule, go to entry, and then BB stretch, entry long. Okay, so we're going to do that. Okay, so now this looks a little daunting, but all you have to do here is change the type of order it is. So change this to an instant order, and this is a long, so it's going to be a buy. Okay, so that eliminates a lot of the criteria. Okay, so now I'm going to put in the exit rule, right, that we have. So the exit rule is here, so I'm going to exit along right there. Okay, and then stop loss. Do we want to put a stop loss in there? Maybe, maybe not. So first of all, let's try it out without the stop loss. I know that's a very risky thing to do, but we're just in back testing here, so we're going to run with that. Since there's no stop loss, we can't use the 1%. So let's try it with a static value of maybe, let's try 1 standard lot. Okay. Okay, so that is the buy side. And then now we're going to save that rule. And then I'm going to clone this rule. So I'm going to go to entry rules, BB stretch long. I'm going to clone the rule, double click, right click, rename, short. Okay. Okay, so I have everything here. I just have to change this to sell. And then for the exit rule, I'm going to go back into the exit rules and get the exit short. Okay, then I'll save that. All right, so we're almost there, almost to a fully automated strategy, at least for the first test. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into the setup rules and go to the long. Okay, so instead of, now it's going to still look for this core rule, right? The core condition. But instead of pausing the backtest, I want to enter the trade. So I'm going to put the trade entry there. So where are the entry rules? Here we go. Okay, so enter the long. Oh, that's not the right one, sorry. This one, yeah. Enter long. Okay, so save that rule and then go to the short setup rule. And then enter the short entry. Yep. Okay. So now the setup rule is all put together. And now I'm going to put that onto the chart and we'll see how this goes. This is the fun part when you get to see it in action, but it might be frustrating if it's not working. Okay, so we got one short, we got one long, and it looks like things are working. So let's run this for a little bit and see what happens. Okay, so it looks like the strategy is working as expected. I don't see anything wrong there. So this is a good place to be. I don't always get lucky on the first try, but this one looks pretty good. And it's showing a profit of 11% right now. And now obviously there's no stop loss, so that's one of the biggest risk management issues with this. But that aside, you can look at different types of stop losses and you can use that. But I'm going to move on with this strategy and see if I can backtest this faster. So the benefit with naked markets is that you can see this on the chart, right? You can run it forward and it'll do the trades. And this will allow you to see if there's any errors in your logic, any errors in the strategy. Oh, that was a big loss. Another big loss. Okay, so there has to be some risk management in there, right? But that aside, now we're going to jump into backtesting this faster. So if it looks good with a visual inspection of the strategy, then what you can do is you can go into this thing called fast backtest, and this will backtest it without you seeing all of the trades on the chart. And obviously this will speed things up. So let's get into that. So I'm going to go into Forex. Let's try the Euro US dollar. Okay, so now I'm going to backtest it. Let's try it on the 4-hour and the daily. And I'm going to use the two setup rules that I just created. So I'm going to check these two. I'm going to go next. Okay, so these are the tests that are going to be run. It's going to run on the 4-hour, the daily with these setup rules. So I'm going to launch that and let's see how it does. All right, I'm back. Okay, so we have the results now. On the 4-hour, it was a loss of 20% with a maximum drawdown of 46%. On the daily, it was a profit of 3.5% with a drawdown of 36%. The win rate was actually pretty high at 67%. So there appears to be some potential here. It just needs some tweaking. So what's one thing that you could try? Obviously, like I said, the risk management, there's no risk management right now. So let's see if we can put in a rule that will help with the risk management. So I'm going to go back to the exit rule. I'm sorry, not the exit rule, but I'm going to go to the entry rule, right? So let's go to the long, and this might need a stop loss. Maybe that'll make it better. Sometimes it makes it worse. So I'm going to try a stop loss. So what could you do for a stop loss? One thing that you could try is a stop loss below the last swing low. So let's give that a try. That might work. It might not work. I don't know. But that's why we backtest, right? Okay, so since this is a long, we're looking for a stop below the last swing low. So that's the stop loss there. I'm just going to use the default settings. You can tweak these if you want to, but that's part of the experimentation phase, right? Okay, so I'm gonna try that out. Okay, so now I'm gonna go over to the entry rule for the short, and then I'm gonna take the swing high as the last swing high as the stop loss. Okay, I'm gonna save that also. Okay, so now let's hop back over to the chart, and I'm gonna put those back on the chart. Okay, and then I'm gonna run it and see if the logic is working out. Yep, it looks like the stop loss is appearing. The stop loss looks actually pretty small in most cases. So, okay, I mean, let's see how that works, right? That's why we backtest. So now I'm going to go back to the fast backtest and try this out. Well, I'll take this off the chart first, just if I have to make more changes in the future. So fast backtest, and I'm only going to do the daily this time because that's what had the most promise on the last one, right? So Euro USD. And remember, this is backtesting from 2003 to 2024, so you're saving a ton of time by using this tool. Okay, so I'm going to go daily. Next, I'm going to select those two rows again. Next. Okay, so this time it's only going to test the daily. Let's launch it and see what happens. All right, I'm back and the backtest finished. So now, as you can see, the growth was actually down, so that optimization did not help this strategy. And the win rate went way down to 28%. So that was not good. And if you want to take a closer look at these results, you can click on Load Stat. That will load the Statistics Center, and you can see how that worked out. Obviously not very good because it spent most of the time below zero. So that was not a good optimization. But I hope you get the point here. You can start to tweak these settings, start to tweak the settings on the Bollinger Bands, on the stop losses, on the take profits, and that will potentially help you create a profitable trading strategy. Now you're gonna have to work at this, right? This is something that's not gonna magically appear, but over time you can start to find these profitable trading strategies, and Naked Markets is a fantastic platform for that. All right, so again, if you want to get Naked Markets at a discount, click the link in the description below. You'll get the discount, plus I'll throw in some goodies that will help you get started with Naked Markets. Now, if there's another strategy that you want to see me create at least partially automated trading strategy for, or maybe even fully automated, because not all trading strategies can be fully automated, right? But some of them can be, or a lot of them can be partially automated. So if you want to see a trading strategy partially or fully automated, leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe and hit the bell. And thanks for watching.